Hello, my name is Ed Frawley, for those that don't know it. This is a good question that we got in an email. I answer a lot of questions by email, all of them. Cindy answers them all. I answer a few. We picked the more interesting ones and put them into our newsletter because I think they can help a lot of people. This is an email from Rebecca about her 2-year-old boxer. I like the way she describes it, a 2-year-old boxer pup. That's good. And I mean that seriously, to think of it like that. And she has a problem. Her dog is trained pretty well, but she was out for a walk and some sketchy looking guys, as she described them, walked out of the woods, and her dog got aggressive, didn't bite him, barked, and wouldn't do a recall. So let me read you the email, and then we'll talk about it. Hello Ed, this is with regards to my 2-year-old boxer pup. I've raised her following your programs. This has resulted with an amazing, wonderful puppy. Here's the problem. We were working off-leash near to my home in an open field that's bordered by woods. This is a normal ops for us. We do our training, play, and spend time in this field, always off-leash. Well, 4 very sketchy-looking men walked out of the woods, and my pup was having none of it. This is the only time I've ever seen her approach aggressiveness with people. However, she made it very clear that they were not to approach us. She was barking and she was growling. The issue is she wouldn't recall. I walked over to her, told her she was good for scaring the men away, which she did. They literally ran and had her walk away with me. Now, when she sees a strange male, she locks onto them. I have no recall. She doesn't seem to hear me. I have no issue with the dog that sounds off when it sees something suspicious, but I don't know how to retain that good control that I used to have. What can we do? Good question, Rebecca. And I think probably a common question. You thought you had a good recall on your dog. The issue is, quite frankly, the dog had not generalized the recall. What does that mean? We generalize. Let me give a simple example of what generalization is. You train your dog to sit, and it sits in the kitchen. First-time dog owners train their dogs to sit, and they're impressed with how quickly the dogs can learn to sit. But try turning around. With your dog back here, ask her to sit. Probably 99% of the time, the dog's not going to sit. Take the dog out into your garage, it won't sit. Take it in another room and it won't sit. Take it in the backyard, it won't sit. And you have to train it to sit until it'll sit in the parking lot in the grocery store down the street. Generalizing a behavior means that it understands what that behavior is in every environment that you put it in. Then it has to make a decision once it has generalized that behavior. Then it makes the decision on if it's going to mind you. And that's when you start to think about distractions. For your dog, the distractions of 4 males coming out of the woods was more of a distraction than she was prepared to deal with at the time. So we've got 2 things going on here. The dog hasn't generalized the recall, and the distraction is pretty strong. And then you add the third thing, that when you did go to the dog, you praised the dog. I don't think I would recommend that. I would have walked up, got my dog, put it on leash, taken it away. I wouldn't have praised it, because you're praising it basically for bad behavior and practicing bad behavior. Now, what do you do about it? That's a good question. We did a very, very, very good training DVD with Michael Ellis on training the recall. And I'm not going to go into all of the training steps here because there's too much of it. It's not an expensive DVD. I think you have the foundation, the very beginning of the foundation, done correctly, but I think you need to take it to the next level. And Michael goes through all the training steps, quite frankly, up to remote controls. And for those people that are just now watching me for the first time on my website talk about remote controls or electric collars, let me say, and I try and say it all the time, I get sick of saying it, but it's important that new trainers understand that a remote control or a remote collar, electric collar, is the best training device that's ever been invented. It's also the most abused training device that's ever been invented. And when we train with it, we use low-level stimulation. And what does that mean? Most of the time, that means that we put the remote collar on the dog and we are stimulating them at a level that we probably as humans wouldn't even feel. It's more like tapping your dog on the shoulder. Do you have the horsepower there that you can use it and jack it up if you need it? Yeah, you do. But most dogs don't need that. But Michael, in his video on training the recall, covers these different things, and I think you need to consider taking your dog there. On a totally different issue, we get a lot of people that write me about wanting to train their dog in personal protection work so they can have a personal protection dog. Probably the second or third training DVD that I did in the early 1980s was training personal protection dogs. Since that time, I've totally changed my mind on people that need personal protection dogs. Now, you didn't say anything about that in your email to us, but I still want to talk about it because what your dog did is all that 99.99% of the people out there need, which is a dog that barks at people. People don't need to have personal protection dogs. Very few people truly need a personal protection dog. Anybody that comes through a barking dog, I tell people, that's where concealed carry comes into the picture. Just my feeling. Other people may agree to disagree with me, but I think it's more of a risk to take a dog, for a new trainer to take a dog someplace and have him trained in personal protection. It's an accident waiting to happen because you're going to have an accidental dog bite. And a nip to your insurance company is a dog bite. And a dog bite to your insurance company means get rid of that guy just as quick as you can. Or they come to you and say, get rid of the dog or we're taking your insurance away. So I don't believe that we take a dog and train him in personal protection and then put the decision on when to bite and when not to bite in the hands of the dog. And if you're not there, that's exactly what you're doing. You're putting it in the hands of your dog. All people need is to teach their dog to bark on command. Bad guys are afraid of barking dogs, especially a bigger barking dog. Now, we just released a DVD titled Leerburg's Relationship Games. It has 8 games in it. We are going to do an online course in conjunction with Leerburg's Relationship Games. The games that we are going to add to the online course, which are not in the DVD, one of them is going to be Teach Your Dog to Bark on Command. So those people that think they have an interest in training their dog to bark, you might want to consider that online course when it's released. Because somebody comes to the door, middle of the night, you know, you ask your dog to bark. Maybe he's barking for a food reward. Maybe he's barking for his toy. The guy outside doesn't know that. And that's all he really needs to know. And 99.9, don't you like that? I'm always saying that. It drives me crazy. It drives Cindy crazier. 99.999% of the bad guys out there are going to turn around and walk away from a dog that barks on the other side of a door. Okay, I hope that answers your question.